Hey guys, we're going to go over primitive shapes real fast in Autodesk 123D design. Primitive shapes are right here. They're your second option over. First one is transform. Second one is primitives. And primitives are a bunch of 3D shapes and then a few 2D shapes that you also have the choice from. And what this is just a quick and easy way to get an object into the 3D plane. This is really useful whatever you're designing already falls into one of these categories. So if you're looking at something and it's a rectangle, well then you use the box function. If you're looking at something and it's a ball, well, then you use the sphere function. If it's a combination of a box and a sphere, well, then you put both of them out there and you combine them and you've got what you need. So primitives are just they're like a shortcut, so to speak, because you can basically draw anything you want in this program, but it's some things are easier to draw than others. Let's say you wanted to make something simple like a coat rack or something. You could start with a box. Bring it down here. We leave the length at 2 centimeters. We're going to change the width though to 200. We're going to change the height to 10. So we've got a 1 centimeter by 20 centimeter by 2 centimeter block here, and then we'll just throw it there on the surface. Now what we're going to need is some things to hang coats on. So what we can do is we're going to change our view slightly, and we're going to get a cylinder. Now the cylinder we get is way too big, so we're going to cut that in half. We're going to go with a 5 millimeter cylinder, and a 2 centimeter height is about right. We're going to go 2.5 centimeters, so we'll go 25 millimeters. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to throw it up here in this corner up here. And then, yeah, let's see here. We'll adjust it slightly. We'll move it there. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to use the move function here. Click here, we're going to move, and what it'll do is it'll actually give us measurements. So we're going to move it down by 4 here, and then we're going to move it in by about 7. And that should put us about right in the middle there. Yep, there you go. Looks pretty good, right? And then if we want to, we can take it and we can hit Control C to make a copy, and then Control V to paste that copy. And then we'll move this new one. We're going to move it down. We'll move it down 25 millimeters and click off of it. And we've got another one. And then we can just repeat that process to line up the pegs for our coat rack. And then if we wanted to, once we got done with that, we could put some knobs on the end if we wanted to. We could take a sphere. Now that one's too big, so let's go with about a 3. Now 3 is too small. Let's try 5. And 5 is a little too small. How about a 7? Yeah, 7's just about right. Let's try 6.5. Yeah, actually we'll go with 6. Okay, so we put the 6 there. So then that's sitting on top of our cylinder. Now then what we're probably going to want to do is move this down into this a little bit so it gives it an actual recessed sort of a quality. And we can do that. We can do that again by selecting the move option. So we'll click on it. We're going to go to move, and then we're going to move it down. There we go. And there, now I've got a nice knob there. Actually, probably we should have, we'll copy and paste this one and move it back there. So we've got an identical situation here. Now the last thing we need to do is just join those two. So we're going to go here to our combine option right down here. We're going to select merge. We'll click on this target, and then we'll do our source solid here. Oh, sorry, that's our source. And then we'll select our target, and we'll click there, and select our source, and boom, there we go. Got a little bit convoluted, but we're good to go. Now these two are joined. Now all we need to do is hit Control C, Control V, and voila, we got a bunch of them. So we'll go 25 millimeters off of that one. And so you see how it's easy to create something relatively simple like a coat rack using primitive shapes and a couple of other functions in 123D design. So primitives can be very easy, very quick way to get a design going if the design falls within certain shapes. Now the shapes are also useful because you can take them and cut them in half and do all sorts of things to them. So even if the shape doesn't quite work, we've got a lot of other options. You can take it, you can modify shapes. So for instance, you can take something and tweak it slightly by pulling on one edge, moving it one way or the other. So 123D design gives you a bunch of options, just starting with primitives. And so we've gone over the primitive 3D shapes. You've also got primitive two-dimensional shapes, which you can throw down. Again, you can select whatever size and shape you want. I'm going to do 50 by 50 here. And what that does is that just gives you a drawing. Now, the cool thing about drawings is you can use them to loft, but we're going to get into that in our next tutorial. So for now, just be aware that you do have a lot of options in terms of pre-generated shapes, and there's a lot of, you got to kind of let your imagination run wild because you've got a lot of different options in terms of how you use them. All right, guys, thanks for watching. More later.